So Alyson, you've been involved in business networking, serious networking, what you call grown-up networking, for over 20 years. Was that your first introduction?
Yeah, absolutely. So I 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago, I got a letter in the post inviting me along to a BNI meeting. I'd never even considered networking before. I had a cleaning business, and I didn't think I sort of needed it. Got a letter inviting me to a meeting in the post, which I looked at. I thought, oh, not really keen. And then I just decided to go along, and that basically changed my life.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
So how did it change your life?
So first of all, I walked into my first BNI meeting. The first person that I was introduced to was an accountant who saved me £6,000 in a 5-minute conversation. And by the end of the meeting, I had signed the form and joined up. I didn't even realise there were any other BNI or any other networking anywhere else in the world. And then I grew my business really by being a member up to £1 million a year through being a BNI member and really working networking. And then I sold it to another BNI member. So it sort of worked extremely well for me. And just with all that support and everything, I managed to grow, employ people and do everything the right way.
So that was a cleaning business.
Yeah.
Was that domestic or industrial?
So it was commercial cleaning mainly. A lot of builders' cleans. In fact, I got a referral from the electrician in the group who said to me, I'm going to give you a referral, but whatever you do, please remember to put this disclaimer on your quote. And when I asked him why, he said that he was in court with the particular company for some extra works. And if he hadn't told me that, I would have been in a bit of trouble. But I ended up basically doing builders' cleans for a company and working on 8 sites of theirs at one time.
Wow. So how many cleaners did you have?
So in the end, I had 50.
50?
Yeah.
Wow.
When I joined BNI, I had three cleaners. And when I eventually sold, I had 50 cleaners working for me.
I know a lot of people that go to networking events see the people around them as their potential clients or their audience, if you like. Now, obviously, you didn't build that business out of selling your services to the people in that room. What was your approach?
So my approach was to get to know them well enough and then tap into their connections. So there was one girl in my group. She was an events planner, and it took her a whole year to open up her connection. Her best friend was the facilities manager at the Bank of New York. It took her a whole year of listening to my sort of weekly pitch, testimonials about me before she gave me her best friend who was at the Bank of New York. And literally, I walked into that meeting and her friend said, if you can match this quote, you've got the job, because I've heard such great things about you. And that was a £350,000 a year job.
Wow.
So that was incredible for me. But, it is about building the relationships.
And it takes time.
Yeah, absolutely. And it took her virtually a whole year to be comfortable to give me that friend. I could have, in hindsight, I could have escalated that relationship by doing more one-to-ones, building my relationship with her a lot quicker. But I think in those days I was probably quite naive, and I probably looked at her and thought, what's she going to give me? Nothing. and now I realise that actually the strangest of people can give you the best of connections. And you just think, oh, that person's not going to have that connection for me. And I say to my members, you don't know who's married to who lives next door to whose dad is whose gran is who, or who's done what in a past life. So you just don't know about connections, do you? Yeah. Just by looking at somebody.
We make judgments very quickly. I've never gone along with that idea that you'll form an impression in the first 8 seconds or whatever. You do get a little bit of a judgment, but that's not necessarily long-standing, is it?
No. It's about building those relationships and getting to know somebody well enough. And sometimes, you can know somebody well enough in one meeting, but Most of it is really drilling down and seeing, what their hobbies are, their interests, and then they open up their connections when they know, like and trust you.
Because we do give away something of ourselves when we make a recommendation. I've made recommendations to people that never followed up, and in fact I remember one particular guy, he really laid into me for introducing him to somebody that was so tardy in the way he followed up.
Yeah, the thing is, it's your reputation on the line, your credibility and everything else. So it is all about the follow-up and making sure, also if somebody gives you a referral, that you follow up with it quite quickly, or you let them know.
And you keep them in the loop.
Yeah, you keep them in the loop.
Do you think people... I talk to people like you and that have tried networking. Do you think people give up too easily in that case? I mean, you said that particular piece of business worth £250,000 a year took a year to achieve.
Yeah.
Do you think people give up too easily?
I think that people want the get-rich-quick scheme, and I have seen it many a time. They join a networking group because their business is in trouble, and they expect to get rich quick, or they expect an overnight success. And it's not. It is about building relationships. And those long-term relationships are where you get, the business from, because that's what it's all about.
So that was your introduction to networking. What was your backstory? What did you do prior to that, prior to cleaning business?
Right.
When you were a little girl, what did you want to be?
I used to work actually in the fashion business, so I used to work in a buying office, and then when I decided to have children, it was frowned upon in the rag trade. So I
Have children? Or
to try and to take off any maternity leave or whatever. So I looked at alternatives, and actually I set up my cleaning business because I thought, what can I do in the evening while my kids are asleep? And that's how that started.
Really?
Yeah, and then a friend of mine said, well, our office needs cleaning, why don't you come do ours? And then somebody else said, our office needs cleaning, and that's how it started. And then I found networking, and then that, like I said, changed my life really.
So who were you buying for? Was it a brand or?
Yeah, so I was, I started off at Topshop.
Yeah.
Then I went to Chelsea Girl, which is now River Island. I set up a 9 to 14 girls wear range for them, and then I got poached by a Scottish company called Mackay's to go and set up a 9 to 14 girls wear range for them called Kylie. And then yes, that was it. It was interesting, and I think I ended up cleaning their offices in the end because I had the connections as well. I've reconnected with people.
So you've always been that connector. You've valued and kept doors open and.
Absolutely. I still keep in touch with a number of the people from the rag trade, because actually one of them went on to do film production, and I ended up cleaning their film studios in London. So
Really?
Yeah, it's just keeping connected. You never know when you're going to bump into somebody again. That's what the thing is. My motto is never piss anybody off, because you never know when you're going to bump into them again, and that is the thing, or you never know when you're going to be able to connect them with somebody else useful again.
I think that, and I can understand why, if you're starting a business or you're growing a business, you've got such pressures on you, particularly with cash flow, that you want the business now and you focus now. But I learnt some years ago that 82% of all sales are taken place after the seventh touch.
Yeah.
And timing in a buying decision is everything. And I think people don't quite recognise that. So if you're going to be around on the seventh touch, having made the first touch, and them saying no or not being interested, then if you've not got a plan for how you're going to still be around when they are ready to make a decision, then you're forever chasing business.
Absolutely. And that's why you've just got to keep building, keep those connections, you know, and it's, if you think about it, on average, each person knows 1,000 people. You know, it's going to take you quite a long time to even, you know, get through, you know, a group of 20 people, get to all their connections and everything else. The thing with networking, and especially with the weekly networking, you get to know somebody so well that they want to help you. Their main aim is to help you grow your business because you're going to help them do the same. So it is, you know, it's a givers gain thing. So, you know, I help you, you help me. And, you know, that's how it works. And that's how the best business relationships are formed, is just everyone's there to help each other.
Yes, yeah. Can't do everything on your own.
You know, collaborating with people in, you know, like-minded people is really good because it gives you more, like, not buying power, but again, you know, being able to work on projects with people. So like I said, the electrician gave me connections, and he gave me about 10 different connections because he was, you know, working on building sites and everything else. So that was perfect for me to do builders cleans, because that was ideal. I would clean up after his boys when they'd finished.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was a great job. So doing things like that and looking for those, you know, contact spheres or power teams, as they were, to really help you grow, is a really good way to build your business.
Yes, you've got to, I think if you're going to network on purpose, you've got to look beyond the person. You've got to get to know the person, but you've got to think, who are they influencing? Who are they in connection with? How can I reach them through this person? And the only way you can do it is if they trust you. And also, there's some sort of
reciprocity.
That's the word. That's the word. I've never got my head around that.
Yeah.